Welcome back to Surfers Unscripted, episode 171. Out here in Cape Town, we've got lovely weather. And as Brevin just described, he's sitting in acid piss, which means it is storming, but it's like 40 degrees. Brevin, what you saying, my man? You excited for round 10 of the URC?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Finally back to the URC. At competition, I'm not going to say we have a chance to win, because I'm not sure about that, but we have a chance for playoffs. So, yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm very excited. And obviously now, we're getting into some decent fixtures. I know the Bulls have some decent fixtures coming up, Stormers as well, so I'm ready.
Yeah. Before we get into that, people, if you do like talking a bit of shit when it comes to rugby, just like us, please do join our little community that we've built up over the past year and a bit. We do appreciate all your love and support, every single one of you guys. We try and get to you guys in the comment section as much as we can. We do like it when there's a little fight in the comment section. That's what it's all about. And I actually want to talk about that before we jump into the URC, because obviously we're going to talk about round 10 and the fixtures. I saw the top 8. I want to hear your thoughts on that. But first and foremost, obviously in a week, we'll be chatting full on Six Nations, right? We'll have our talk about the URC, but we're excited for the Six Nations. Now, today, we're filming this on Thursday. The news has been announced that the 20-minute red card will actually be implemented in the Six Nations, right? So there was uproar when people talked about it in, the Champions Cup, and that Super Rugby has been doing it and people didn't like it. I absolutely love the 20-minute red card. And they have said, listen, if it's foul play, like serious foul play and stuff, there will be a permanent red card as well, which I'm a bit touch and go with, right? Because I think it's much easier if you just follow the letter of the law instead of leaving it up for debate when it comes to the referee's decision. But overall, Brevin, are you pro 20-minute red card? Or are you against it?
I can't say I'm against it, because we know that many a times in a good game of rugby gets spoiled by a red card, We've seen this countless times, and I think it's a good. I think World Rugby has the right idea with what they're trying to achieve here by doing it and implementing it permanently. But it also comes down to the referees can't now, because a red card was. Look, we never know the interpretation of the law. The refs are all different, and we complain about this all the time. But now, do you not think that because now another player could be coming on in 20 minutes, for example, that, how can I put it, that the refs might be even more kind of strict on a red card, for example? So a thing that might be a yellow.
I think they might have had that discussion. Like to say, listen, we can't give out more red cards than we're already doing. I think a large part of this is because we're seeing so many things happen in terms of red cards being given. Like how many games in that first round of the Champions Cup, for instance, did we not say, holy shit, there's been a lot of cards, right? Whether it's yellow or red, like we see so many red cards these days compared to what we used to see in the past. I'm all for the red card. I can't see that a ref just says, okay, well, he's going to get subbed anyway, so we bringing on, I'm just going to give him a red card. Like they still have to follow the letter of the law. Like everyone can see when there's mitigation. We all can see when it's a technical penalty or something like that. You can't just splurge out a red card just because you think, okay, there's going to be a sub. What I love about it is the fact that we already know when you go down to 14 men, that is a big punishment for a team. So it's so tough to win a game when you get a player sent off early, right? And you can't replace him. It brings in fatigue into the other. Like imagine you send off a prop within the first 20 minutes and the other prop is forced to play against kind of two fresh other props. They're never going to win a scrum penalty or anything like that. I think if you punish the player that committed the offense, right, for the whole game, he doesn't come back on, and you also punish the team for 20 minutes, so double the yellow card, I think is brilliant, because then it still gives the team that had one mistake made by one single player, still gives them a fighting chance, where it's like, okay, survive this 20 minutes, right? Play your heart out, and then we go back to the full strength of 15. And obviously the red card's still going to play a role, because that other guy has to play for a lot longer now. So I'm all for it. I think it's good. That alongside the two other rules that they've brought in, I absolutely love, which is if you score a try, you have 60 seconds from the moment of the touchdown to kick the ball over the post, speeding up the game. We always talk about time in play, right? Or ball in play, game time, whatever. And then the same with 30 seconds to set your set pieces. I think these are three brilliant rules that they've brought in. I don't really understand what the whole uproar is, because I've heard people saying it will motivate people to take out the creative quality players, and then they get a red card, but it kind of nullifies each other because the other guy's injured. I'm like, they're not stupid. Why would they do that? Like, that is just cynical, because you're anyway going to get a full red if you commit foul play. That is so. I just think that's a bit of a brain dead comment. Other than that, I'm all for the 20-minute red card.
Yeah, I'm not against it at all. As long as, it's obviously done like as if you would still award a normal red card, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But then
nothing changes in terms of that.
Yeah, but I think obviously, like you were saying in the beginning that that if it was proper foul play, that they might consider it a permanent red card or something. I think you can't have best of both worlds, if that makes sense. Like, there needs to be one rule, and that's it. Because now that's when the letter of the law, however you understand the law, comes into play. And as we know, a lot of these referees understand it differently. So, yeah, I think that can't be a thing. But
it will be interesting to see what they deem as the foul play. Would it be like a stand-up tackle, right? Because that would still be, in my opinion, like no guy's going to stand up and say, I'm going to hurt this guy with a high tackle. But when you dive into a limb, I would say that's foul play. When you try and throw a punch or whatever, that would be foul play. But obviously, as far as I know, I think they'll probably take high tackles and stuff as foul play as well, even though it wasn't necessarily intended. So I would want some clarity around that, but it's mostly for like technical penalties. So you won't see a guy getting a red card, for instance, for the scrums. But that was a second yellow. But you get what I mean. Yeah. Like it's less harsh of a punishment then.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's good as long as it's done properly.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see during the Six Nations now. So, but I'm excited to see how it works out. Like, these are the type of changes in rugby that I would like to see. I think it's good for the game, especially the other two that we brought up. Getting those guys to kick quicker instead of wasting time. Getting the guys to get the set pieces where we don't see 10-minute scrums or whatever like that. I love the scrum, but I don't want to see 10 minutes of it at once the whole time. Anyway, let's move on to the URC. What we actually wanted to talk about. Our top 8 at the moment, Brevan. Sounds crazy to say this. Leinster and Glasgow, first and second. Cardiff in third. We're halfway through the season, by the way. Bulls, Sharks, Scarlets in sixth. Benetton in seventh. Edinburgh in eighth. So of that, I can see the Stormers picking up the form, right? Because we've got our easier games left, right? Like, I feel like we've played most of the tough games. Munster's definitely going to pick up. Lions has to pick up again. They started off the season with a stormer, and now they're sitting in 12th. I can see the Ospreys even picking up because they were so injury plagued. Ulster will still be in the running. This is going to be a juicy second half, because if you look at it from position 4, I'd say 4, right? Because that's Bulls on 25 points, Cardiff in 28, right? But if the Bulls on 25, Munster, who's in 11th, is on 21. So if the Bulls lose the game and the guys below them win a game, how sexy is that?
Yeah, I know. I think the Bulls have 2 games in hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So my bad. Yeah, I didn't look at that. But
regardless,
and the Lions and then the Stormers has 1 in hand.
But then just remember, the Bulls' games in hand is the Stormers on the 8th of February, if I'm not mistaken, in Cape Town. That's not a guaranteed win. And then I think it's the Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 hard games, in my opinion. Not like, oh yeah, we've got that. But like we've seen this whole URC season, I cannot walk into any game thinking other than a home game against Zebre or something that we've got this in the bag. Like, it is unbelievable how unpredictable, the URC has been this season. And Cardiff in third. I mean, that's huge for Welsh rugby. Like,
Yeah,
that's huge. And it's going to be spicy. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of angry reactions from maybe me and you in the future, because one of us is going to have to lose.
course.
And
Whoever loses that game on the 8th of Feb, as you just mentioned, I'm going to that game. I'll be on the piss. So lucky for everyone else. But if we lose that game, I'll be very angry. And I can guarantee you, Brevin will be angry if the Bulls lose that game. Because for both of us, that feels like a must-win fixture.
Yeah, it always is. But, I mean, starting with this weekend, obviously, Bulls against Lions, Stormers against Leinster away, and Sharks against who away?
Sharks are playing. Let me just get it up again. My bad. Sorry.
No worries.
Sharks, Cardiff. The thing is, like, I expect Cardiff to drop off a bit, right? Because they have played their easier games in the first stint of the season. I'm not saying I'm expecting them to all of a sudden drop out of the top 8, but I think they'll be battling for that top 8 spot. They did themselves a lot of favors to get to 28 points, but obviously there's teams with games in hand, and I just told you how close it is. But yeah, as you said, it is great for Welsh rugby, and they're playing at home against the Sharks. But we'll chat about that one in a second. Let's actually go to you first.
Okay, cool.
Massive derby.
That's huge.
If there's one team that you can get it over the line, you have gotten over the line the most times, obviously, but that always pushes you to the brink. The Lions.
Yeah, look, the last couple games against the Lions have made me, like, even though we've won, it's been quite tough to watch because they were frustrating performances and it got very close, too close for comfort. But now the Lions are at a stage where I feel like they're doing a lot better. I feel like they're improving a lot. I feel like they're a lot more dangerous. And they'll obviously want to throw the kitchen sink at it because it is
How many injuries do they have? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure on the injuries, but I know they don't have too many injuries. So
I know for a fact Henko van Wyk is out. Is Reinhard Jonker injured?
I'm not 100% sure. I can't say, but I know the Bulls are going into this pretty much fully equipped. I don't know, other than Kirtley being away, who apparently mightn't even make the end of the season because of his commitments, apparently. But other than that, we are pretty much as strong as we can be. So I obviously expect the Bulls to win. I don't expect it to be a thumping. I expect it to be tough. And yeah, it's going to be closer than some Bulls fans think it's going to be because it's at Edinburgh Park. And obviously, Bulls still have to find their feet. I mean, I know we beat the Stade Francais team in Loftus, but like you said in the previous episode, it wasn't their full strength, and obviously it was at Loftus. So a lot more needs to be done. And this is a good task. I think if we can beat the Lions, it sets us up well because then we obviously meet you guys on the 8th of Feb in Cape Town, and I think. And
then you're coming off 2 victories as well.
Yeah, so we need confidence going into that Stormers game. So, yeah, I'm nervous. I can't even lie. I don't know what to expect against the Lions.
On it.
Honestly, I do think the Bulls win, but I think it's going to be by like 4 points. Honestly, I think it's going to be close.
I've got Bulls by 7.
Yeah, I don't have it by far.
Yeah, like even if the Bulls play full strength, I've got the Lions to keep it tight. It's the same as New Zealand versus South Africa, where people are kind of writing off New Zealand, right? But it doesn't even matter what team New Zealand puts out. They'll always be ready for that game. This is the game that the Lions look forward to. They want to beat the Bulls. It's the battle of Joburg and Pretoria, right? Like it is a feisty. It is a feisty battle. So I'm very excited for it. I hope the Lions doesn't have too many injuries and the weather plays a part because this is a feisty little battle. I do have the Bulls to get over the line. I do think that the Bulls will take some confidence from that game against Stade Francais, especially when it comes to the forwards. I just don't see the forwards of the Lions matching up nicely to the Bulls. If you look at that front three, if you look at your back row, it's a sexy team that the Bulls have when you look at their forwards. What do you think the Lions can get something from this game is obviously if they use the pace in their back line. Like they have got an extremely, extremely good attack. If they can just keep on putting it on the Bulls, we've seen the Bulls leak some points this season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions gets it over the line. Let me rather say it like that. But I'm going to back the Bulls by 7 points, and I think that's a fair shout.
But just like some of the battles, right? Like Hannah Korm against Frankie Horn, Ron Fenter against Ulrich Lowe. You got Asanati versus, I think it's either Volko or Steenekamp. So the Lions do have physical power, don't get me wrong. Like, they will also be up for it. And I'm sure, I think a Lions team, like we know a lot of players, obviously Henko van Beek's injured, but we know players like Nohamba, you can maybe say Asanati if you want, Ron Fenter, Frankie Horn, all of these guys believe that they should maybe have an opportunity in a Bok jersey, right?
Yeah.
So this is their chance to prove.
Perfect opportunity for the likes of a Kate Volita.
Exactly. Oh, even forgot about him. Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very tight. And yeah, but you know what? As the Bulls fans always do, we'll back them. And yeah, I think we'll get it done, Justin.
Well, Brevin doesn't always back his team. So if he backs his team, you better know it's facts, right? So let's move on. Leinster versus the Stormers. If I'm not mistaken, I did just post a video on my personal channel. I think someone told me 23 Leinster players are in the squad of the Irish. Now, obviously, there's this talk around Leinster has never beat the Stormers, whether it's home or away. Obviously, we had a draw against them when we played at the RDS. I don't want to sound like I'm writing them off. I don't want to sound like I'm being cocky. But this is
I'll do it for you. You guys should not lose this game. If you guys go into this with a full strength Stormer side, or should I say...
That has been rested last week.
Yeah, I think a Stormer side that is full strength against the Leinster side, who we're not disrespecting. It's like you said, 23 players have gone to the Irish camp. A Stormer side should win that comfortably, in my opinion. I know it's away, but at the same time...
still Jordy Barrett and Ergis Snyman, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say that two guys are going to beat us all of a sudden.
Yeah, look, I think obviously it's never a tough task to go to Ireland. Like we always say, the SAFA teams are a bit dodgy when it goes to traveling. But Ben Jason Dixon, Marnie Libok.
Well, that's if Ben Jason Dixon's back.
I saw him training. He plays.
You know what happens to Shirley. It never comes true, so don't say that. I would love Ben Jason Dixon to play.
Yeah, but I'm going to put the pressure on you guys. I really think you guys have obviously looked Racing. The Racing thing was tough. It's a tough loss, but I still think that the Stormers did more than I personally expected of them. Obviously, there were some things you can be annoyed at, which is fair, but I think they exceeded my expectations. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. And I think you guys did all right, and I think you guys can build on that. But it all comes down to team selection again. You cannot do this thing of now the players that played against Racing rest, and then you bring in Marnie and them to play this game, but now you've left the others out. Like, it needs to be a thing of we need to qualify for the top 8 here. Let's go and win this game.
Every point matters. That's what I want to see with the team selection. I want to see every point matters. I want to see Paul de Wet and Herschel Jantjies, for instance. I want to see Marnie Libok play. I want to see if Evan Roos is fit, right? I know he's got a knock on his face. I want to see him play. If Benjamin Nixon's fit, needs to play. Dion Fourie needs to play, right? That is massive stuff. Frans Malherbe, Neetling Fouché, all the big names, they have to play. I love Ben Lauder at the moment. I'd keep him in there. If Hartzenberg and Zas is fine, I don't think either of them are fine, right? But if they're fine, play them all day long. If Rowan Nile is fit, play him. Warwick, put him at fullback, right? Because I just think Warwick might just win us this game, right? But my point is just I want to see the commitment that we made in terms of, okay, well, we're going to play rotated against Racing, even whether that was cocky or not, right? The whole thought process was to rest them because we know how good we have to perform in the URC, and I want to see that. I don't want to look at that URC team and I'm like, why is our guys not playing? Did they just travel for no reason? So I'm guessing we're playing full strength. This has to be a statement victory, in my opinion. And I don't mean statement by beating Leinster by 25 points, because that's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. Leinster, we all talk about their squad depth and how good they are. But for us, it would be a massive thing to bounce back after a loss where we, at large parts, looked like the better team, right? Obviously, we didn't deserve to win, but we looked decent at certain stages to bounce back, beat Leinster, and then travel back home. I don't want to travel back home after 2 losses and then take on the Lions and the Bulls twice.
Yeah. Exactly. But with that all being said, I do back you guys. I think you kind of have more familiar faces in the team now than what you had a couple months ago, where it was a travesty of injuries. So I personally think you guys will win this game by about 12 points. And I think you guys should aim for that bonus point as well. 5 points, walk away. And you'll be happy with that. I mean, walking away from...
I'm just a bit nervous with the lineouts, to be fair. But that's just after last week.
Well, Achia, flipping out, you'll steal anything. So you got to be careful, of course. But
Bro, all day long, just do these straight down the middle. Give it to Paul de Vet. Has to just take it and pop it back. I don't even care. Right? Or quick lineouts. Racing scored against us. There you go.
Literally, like I said, I think you guys have got it. So, yeah, obviously, like I said, no disrespect to Leinster, but you are missing a lot of key players. So that's the only reason I base it like that.
Yeah, if this was full strength, I always back my team.
Yeah.
Unless
like
we're traveling to Leinster and they've got a fully strength team. So, no.
Doesn't end well. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I've got the Stormers to win by 8 points. Talking about backing your team, are you backing the Sharks to get it done in Wales?
So, funny story. I saw the Sharks team announcement.
Did they announce?
Yeah, they did.
Who else has announced? I haven't seen any announcements.
No, I think don't the Sharks play tomorrow?
No, they play on.
Well, they've announced, but it's pretty much. I wouldn't. Yeah, well, look, there's Bongi's in there, Trevor's in there, Vincent Chichuka's playing lock, and he's captain. Pepsi's there, Manu Chichuka's there, Grant Williams, Siamasuka Mapimpi, Ethan Hooker at 12, Lorenzo Julius at 15, Jordan Hendricks at 15. So, yeah, looking at this team, I think the Sharks should win. Lucanio, I'm on the bench, Francois Fence on the bench, Jaden Hendricks on the bench, Vincent Koch on the bench. So they have quality coming off the bench as well. So, yeah, look, I think they should win. Because, obviously no Sia, no Eben, but still, I fully back that team to get the job done. Because that is pretty much without Sia starting, obviously Andre Estes and Fussy, whatever, but you're replacing them with the likes of Ethan Hooker and, Jordan Hendrickson. So it's not a travesty. And then, obviously, you have both Chichuka brothers on the field. It's a good team. You got Bongi there. Look, I fully back them.
I'm not even going to lie, right? Like, we said that we want to see a bit more from Lorenzo Julius. What was it? A good few months ago. Yeah.
And he's actually stepped
up. He's really stepped up. And you can see it. Lucanio Arm's on the bench. Like, if Lucanio Arm's fit to play, he should be starting 13. But then I'm like, Lorenzo's played some good rugby. I wouldn't have minded it to see, for instance, I'm at 13 and then Lorenzo moved to the wing. Like, I don't think that would have been a bad idea either. But yeah, he's been playing some good rugby. I'm excited to see Ethan Hooker there because that could be the potential future Springbok centre pairing. And we've said Ethan Hooker, keep an eye on this guy. I love the fact that they're finally playing him at 12. Like, he's been doing great at the wing. But I want to see him play his natural position, and he's doing that. I am backing the Sharks to get it done over the team that's sitting in third. I think they might be hurting after last weekend, but they're also going to be hungry after this one. Yeah. All their focus shifts now to the URC. Obviously, they're still in the Challenge Cup. But I think the URC will be their big thing. They need a good push on because they'd want to stay in South Africa, right? Because if they can play home games in South Africa for the Challenge Cup and the URC playoffs, they'll feel like they're fine because it's not easy to go to the Shark Tank and win. So must-win game for them. So I've actually got them to win by, let me just make sure. Cardiff never lose by much. I always say that. So I've got 9 points.
Yes. Yeah, I think that Sharks team, I didn't expect them to even go that strong, to be honest, but I'm glad they did. So I fully expect them to win by double digits. Not too many double digits, but I would say about between 10 to 12 points. I think they have a good enough team to win by that much against Cardiff. But look, Cardiff will look at I think the Cardiff motivation is they're looking at their lock position and saying, boys, there's a real shot here. There's a real shot to keep up this form and maybe even possibly get a home playoff, even if it's just one game, So yeah. I think they'll really want to push on. And I do expect them to make that first half extremely tight and maybe the first 20 minutes of the second half. But from there, I personally just think there's a slight bit of quality difference in the two teams, and that's why I have it to the Sharks. So, yeah, 10 to 12.
Ospreys versus Benetton, that was supposed to be on Friday evening, but that has been moved due to weather stuff to Sunday as well. This is actually a tight game to call, because the Ospreys, they were injury plagued, but both of their teams, well, all the other teams, they've kind of joined up to the Six Nations, right? So I don't even know really where to place this game. I've purely backed this on home ground advantage to give Ospreys the victory because Benetton, there's so many Italian players there or Italian international players there. Yeah. They do obviously still have the likes of a Reno Smith playing there, but that's not good enough, in my opinion, to beat the Ospreys team at home. So I'm backing the Ospreys to get it done.
I think I'm with you.
I've got the Ospreys by, I can't even find my prediction that I put in. Oh, by 6.
Yeah, the thing is, right, when we talk about a strong Benetton team, we talk about them at their full strength. Obviously, for Benetton to have depth is a very hard thing to do. Like, they're just, these Italian clubs, they have some of their internationals, and then from there, you can just see the drop-off of quality. So, obviously, the home advantage is a big thing for Ospreys, but I just think the lack of quality that Benetton might suffer from because of their players leaving to the Italian camp, I think it will be very evident. And obviously playing away, Benetton, very unpredictable. I think they've had their little heat moments in the Champions Cup, and now they might get snapped back to reality. So, yeah, I think Ospreys, they should win. They've always been a bit of a tricky team to play against. They've never been like this team that you can expect to absolutely annihilate. But yeah, no, I think if you look at the depth, I think Ospreys probably edge it in terms of depth, and I'll base it on that, and obviously home ground advantage. So I'll say Ospreys by 10 points. Let's say 10.
Yeah. Scarlets taking on Edinburgh. Scarlets, we have given them their praise for this season this far. Edinburgh, obviously a lot of Scottish players as well, and still no Emiliano Boffelli. I think this is a tougher game than we think. Edinburgh, I don't know too much. What's your thoughts leading up into this one? Scarlets at home, by the way.
These games are the toughest to call because you actually they both missing quality players because of being sent off to their respective camps.
Scarlets obviously losing less quality players.
Obviously, right? So I think the base of that Scarlets team probably stays the same, right? Because a lot of the Welsh players, maybe like a Tommy Raphael or whatever, plays in England. So, I do. It's such a tough game to call, man. I'm gonna back Scarlets here. I'll be honest. I might just back Scarlets. But I'm
also backing Scarlets. I've got Scarlets by 3 points. Give it to me all day long.
I have it like a nail biter just because to lose such key players, right? to then just transition like that, it's tough, man. Like, it's not easy
Yeah.
to just let's change it up. It's a whole new team. I think the only team that really does it phenomenally well is that Leinster team, where they can kind of get there. That's the one team I kind of think, okay, they won't necessarily change too much by changing the players. But yeah, no, I think Scarlets probably just edge it 4 points, probably maximum.
Yeah.
But at
I,
the same
I
time,
just like the underdog shout. At home, home ground advantage will be a factor here as
it
well.
always is, you know.
So,
It's
and talking about teams struggling when they rotate, we've got the Dragons taking on Munster, and Munster rotated, lost to Zebre. But they won't lose to the Dragons. I can't. Dragons are dead last. Dead last. But they do pick up their game when they play at home. Like the URC is like a cheat when you're playing at home.
unless
But
you're
I've
the
got
Bulls,
Munster by
it stops. But anyways,
I've got Munster by 11 points. I do reckon they'll still be too strong. I think they've learned their lesson after losing to that Zebre team, because it was kind of just defense that bit them in the ass. Like they still looked good in certain patches. Zebre played out of their skin. Dragons have been playing a bit better, but they've not got any results. So that's the thing, right? So I'm gonna back Munster with the ugly victory, but by 11 points. If you look at their performances in the Champions Cup, it's not all due to all the Irish players. And obviously, they don't lose as many Irish players as, for instance, Leinster does. I reckon they're still strong enough to take these games. Like, if I was Munster, these games are the ones you have to win, especially since they're chasing the pack with their horror start that they had at the start of the season.
yeah, I think I'm going to back Munster as well. I think, like you said, they need to learn from this. And yeah, no, Munster, like you said, they're something to play for, right? They're 4 points behind the Bulls, sitting in 11th. So they also, I think a season where Munster does not make the playoffs is a disaster, in my opinion, because that team is enriched in history. You know, it's not like, obviously Leinster. Well, Munster fans will not like this, but obviously Leinster is like kind of at the moment your Irish mega team. But Munster will kind of think, hang on a second, we've won the URC, we've been successful in the past. We went to Cape Town and won it. And like I said, for that reason alone, I think just not to make the playoffs is a disaster. So coaches will be in their ears saying, listen, guys, we need to wake up here, because I think all of our jobs, not necessarily the players, but coaching jobs are at stake here, because to not make the URC playoffs as a team as high and prestigious as Munster, it's actually a disaster. So and we thought for a second they were going to win last year again, right? We thought they were going to get a home final and they were going to win it. And I think they need to
listen. There's a couple of teams of these 16 that are like fixed in my head that they have to be in the top 8. There's only a couple of open spots, depending on where they obviously end up. But Leinster is always going to be there. Bulls always going to be there. At the moment, Glasgow, you'd put them in there. I'd put the Stormers in there because we've won it, right? That's just the standards. If you look at the squad that the Sharks have, they have to be there. And Munster, as you said, it's tradition. They are the second biggest club in terms of how they're playing at the moment and the prestige and stuff in Ireland, or well, them and Leinster, same was a group. So it's kind of 6 teams, right? That's like fixed. And the final 2 positions gets played out by Ulster, Edinburgh, Benetton, Ospreys, Lions. That's kind of where they fight. But the others are like fixed, in my opinion. So if Munster doesn't get there, you'd be like, how? How do you even get to that point? Right? It would be crazy. It would be like the Springboks or New Zealand or one of the big rugby nations that doesn't make it out of a group.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is scary, right? Because there's no other way to put it. Like you said, if you look, I'm just going to base this on terms of quality of the team, right? Like you said, Leinster, Glasgow, Bulls, Sharks, Stormers, Munster, and I'd probably even say Edinburgh probably have to be there. Looking at if you look at the full strength of their squad, but the URC
and the fact that they're playing the Italian teams twice.
10 points guaranteed or 20 points guaranteed if you're lucky.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say Benetton is points guaranteed, but
Yeah, no, of course. I'm just obviously mumbling here, but I think it's great that we're now seeing teams that are like, okay, that's nice, but I'm gonna chill here in third. My name's Cardiff, and no one expected me to be here,
I
so
love it.
it's good. It is good, but like you said, looking at the teams, a Munster cannot afford to not make the playoffs. So I'm gonna
No.
back them to win, and I'll back them to win again, probably a 10-point win. And I think they have to get it done. Prove that you deserve to be there, because like I said, big disaster if they don't, in my opinion.
Yeah. This is actually going to be a spicy game. I'm excited for this one. Take spicy with a grain of salt, because it will be rotated teams. But like on paper, Glasgow versus Connacht would be an exciting game. Like something about it just feels like it clicks. It's so tough, right? Because we don't know the teams outside of the South African teams that well in terms of their depth, right? Because we haven't followed them for years. We don't know their academy and their prospects and stuff coming through. I'm going to back Glasgow purely on how good they are at home. They have rotated kind of throughout the season and still played well. It's a must-win game for them. Like, they have to secure their spot in the playoffs at home and stuff. And these are the games that they'd want to win. But then again, Connacht, will they be rotating that much?
This is the thing. Call me crazy, but I think Connacht win this.
Oh, really?
Because you're looking at Hansen and Aki that go to Ireland. I don't know. There could be others, excuse me if I'm wrong, but your two big ones are Hansen and Aki. Who else would you be losing in terms of what that else?
Then you look at that Glasgow team, and probably all of them are gone.
And all of them go. I mean, you got Ferguson, obviously Tupelotu's injured, Hugh Jones is gone. I mean, the list can go on. You're losing a lot of players. And I know obviously they're very good at home, but I just think Connacht aren't rotating that much. If they are clever, they shouldn't be rotating that much. And
No.
I can see them personally. Connacht are never an easy team.
Don't you reckon that the Glasgow setup or system could hold up?
Maybe, but like I said, there's only one team I'm convinced by that can do the rotational thing like drastically and pull it off, and that's Leinster. So, yeah, call me crazy, but I genuinely think Connacht can pull this off. Like just purely on the base that they have a team that's very familiar with the system. A lot of them aren't necessarily leaving to the Irish camp. They'll be fired up, and if you have the log in front of you, how are they looking in terms of playoff contention and whatever?
So Connacht, obviously, they've had a couple of games where it was like narrow defeats. They've looked good at certain stages, but they're sitting in 13th on 18 points, so 1 point below the Lions.
Okay.
But this is the opportunity to make up some ground.
To make up. And I think the Staffers, unfortunately, the Bulls aren't necessarily playing these teams, but I know like the Stormers are and the Sharks are now. This is the time where you need to capitalize. If you have a team that you have a solid foundation like Connacht do, where a lot of them aren't necessarily leaving, now's the time to pick it up, because we've seen when the Staffers have been weakened due to whether they go to these camps for the box or get rest time, like the compulsory rest that they have to have, and then we take on a team like Leinster or whatever, we see that they take advantage of that and they absolutely pump us. So I think the same needs to happen here. I think Connacht need to say, listen, I'm sorry you're not at full strength, but we're going to capitalize here and we're going to...
Yeah, you have to. No mercy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the boring Nelly. I'm going to go Glasgow by 12 points. I just can't get myself to back another team going to Glasgow at home.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like I'm purely basing it on them playing at their 4G pitch. But I do reckon, like I've said it many times, they are such a well-coached and well-drilled team, Glasgow. I reckon their system can hold up. And I haven't been entirely convinced necessarily by Connacht throughout this season. So I'm still going to back Glasgow by 12 points. I'm not going to say it's a comfortable 12 points necessarily. Like this could easily be a 5-point game, 7-point game, and then Glasgow kind of scores at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm going for. And then the final game, this is it should be an easy one because Ulster as well, they don't lose too many players, right? Going up against Zebre. Zebre at home might have been interesting, but Ulster at home, you saw what they did against Exeter. They'll want to take that momentum going forward. They also know they have to make up some ground. So I've got Ulster to get it done comfortably this time. I'm saying Ulster by I've got it at 19 points at the moment, but don't be surprised if I raise it. Depending if the weather plays a part, right? Because if it's a drenched out game, I don't know. But Ulster should be by far too strong.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, Zebre, with whatever Italian players they do have, they will lose a few, I'm sure. And then, away from home, Ulster, never easy to travel to Ireland ever. So look, I personally think you could see a bit of a hiding here. Probably the only hiding of the round. So Ulster, like you said, don't lose too many players, and that obviously that's beneficial, So I think you're on the right track. I was going to say 15, but maybe even a bit more. Probably.
Fair enough. That brings us to the end of it. Thank you everyone for watching. Please do remember to like and subscribe as we mentioned. Give us your thoughts on the 20-minute red card, the other 2 rule changes, the top 8. How do you think it plays out for the rest of the season? And obviously, give us your predictions as well for this weekend. Thank you all for watching and always supporting us. We do appreciate you guys. And we will see you on Monday again for the review. And then we're going full steam ahead into the Six Nations. Bye-bye.